Going on, fight fans? This is Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Rob Jarrell, and this is my preview for this weekend's fights. It's two cards, one on Showtime featuring Gervonta Tank Davis and a little known Ricardo El Cientifico Nunez out of Panama. And on that undercard, we also have Yuriorkis Gamboa taking on Roman Martinez and Jezreel Corrales taking on a Ladarius Miller at lightweight. Also, we have a card on the zone that's going to feature Maurice Hooker, undefeated, taking on former Olympian Jose Ramirez in a 140-pound bout where someone's O has to go. And if you didn't know, Maurice Hooker, I believe, holds the WBO light welterweight, and Jose Ramirez holds the WBC. And this is going to be a good fight. On that undercard, we have Tevin Farmer versus the little-known Guillaume Fernois out of France. So what I want to do, I'm going to start off with the Showtime fight. It's got a couple of decent fights on there altogether. It's going to feature Richmond native Emmanuel Aline versus Freddie Hernandez, Ronald Gabriel versus Devin Alexander's brother Vaughn Alexander. Again, Jezreel Corrales versus Ladarius Miller, who should win that fight pretty handily. And Yuriorkis Gamboa versus Roman Rocky Martinez. And to be honest, this is kind of a do-or-die match. I mean, I like Gamboa. He's shorter than Rocky Martinez, but he's always been against a lot of his opponents faster, more polished, more explosive. But over the course of a fight, if he can't really get you out of there early, he tends to fade or lose concentration. And he can just straight up be beat down. And to be honest, just kind of looking at his last fights, if I can remember, I mean, he beat Miguel Beltran, he beat Jason Sosa, he beat Alex Reyes, but he lost to Robinson Castellanos in a fight where he pretty much got beaten. So he should win this fight, but he's taking on Rocky Martinez, who for the most part is a very bend but don't break dude. And again, looking at his fights, and I've seen him, but it's not someone who I paid as much attention. He went tooth and nail with Orlando Salido twice, where he got lost a split decision. He drew on a split draw, and he won their first fight. He lost to Mikey Garcia. He lost to a Ricky Burns, but he did beat Miguel Beltran, Diego Magdaleno, and he lost to Vasil Lomachenko. So, if Martinez, he should suffer a knockdown or two in the first 3 or 4 rounds, but if he makes it to the end of the fight, it'll be interesting. He should put some hands on Gamboa, but I just don't think he has quite the firepower. I think he's getting to that point where his chin is starting to go, whereas Gamboa, who never really had much of a chin, he just had the physical tools, like I said, the speed, the power, the strength, and the pedigree, but the concentration and the toughness usually isn't there, especially against guys who are taller than him. So we're going to move on to the main event, where Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ricardo Nunez, El Cientifico out of Panama. So there wasn't a whole lot of recent video on El Cientifico out of Panama, but what I did see is, like a lot of Panamanians, they have a very distinct style. They're very aggressive. They like to come forward. He kind of has a high guard style, and he likes to throw the jab out there and double up the jab, but on the second part of the jab, it's like boom, he holds it out there to measure and gauge his distance, and throws very hard shots coming off his front foot, and he throws very hard shots. What I noticed he likes to do, he likes to throw the right hand off of that jab in an uppercut and then come over the top. And he's a very hard puncher. I don't think he has quite the explosiveness as Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez, but he does have that come forward style, somewhat explosive, very straight punches, and he puts a lot into those punches. But he's going to be more straight up and down than Javante Tank Davis, who we know has been on a tear for I don't know how long. He's much more explosive than anyone that Nunez has ever faced. He's much more powerful than anyone that Nunez has ever faced. I think Nunez's best fight was against Elvis Torres in a 1 round knockout. And if I'm not mistaken, he had 2 losses early in his career, 1 DQ, 1 TKO. Not only that, but he's 21-2 with 19 knockouts, which means he can hit. And we know Tank Davis is about 21-0 with like 20 knockouts. And he's knocked out Hugo Reeves, Jesus Cuellar, Liam Walsh, Pedraza. I mean, anyone you put in front of him, no matter who hits him, he's going to put hands on him. And because he's short and a ball of energy, not only is he explosive, but he places his shots very well from that southpaw stance. I'm looking for this to be a firefight for the first 2, maybe 3 rounds. If Nunez is who I think he is as a Panamanian fighter, it's going to be hard to get him out of there, but he's not hard to hit. I think Javante Tank Davis works the body. I also think he's going to get surprised early because he may be taking his opponent a little lightly because the guy, even with a pretty good record, has not seen the level of competition ever in Javante Tank Davis. So I think Tank is going to get possibly surprised early. I think he's going to place his shots well, moving to his right. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart. He's going to. I think he's going to move to his right. He's going to get up under that high guard and go to the body and finish upstairs. I just don't think Nunez has the pedigree to take on a Tank Davis. I think the best that he can do is make a good showing for himself and make it an exciting fight. Like I said, I think he's going to catch Javante Davis sleeping on his ability and his power because from what I've seen, he's a really good fighter, but he has a lot of early KOs. He has a lot of KOs and against a lot of guys out of Panama and Mexico where it's just kind of like, I need to fight. I need to stay busy. I got to fight. I got to eat. So I want to say it goes 7 rounds in Tank Davis's favor, but you never know with these unnamed guys. Some guys, they have flashy records, but you see their fights and it's like, is he really that guy? Well, as this guy, who's been around, even though he's only a year older than Davis, has been around, he's consistently been fighting, and he's looked impressive in all his fights, but again, except the one, and I can't find all the footage, so I can't really bring much to you, but I think look for him to try to maintain gauge range on Devontae, on Tank, and try to aim top of the head, maybe behind the ear on the temple as Tank comes in, because like I said, he is taller. But I'm taking Tank within 7 rounds, and I may be giving Nunez a little bit more credit that he deserves. It's just like I don't want to take a chance on a guy I haven't really seen enough of him versus top level or even mid-level competition, whereas Tank Davis, you've seen him against A-level competition. So moving on to the DAZN event. Sorry, it is late while I'm shooting this. On DAZN, we have Tevin Farmer versus Guillaume Fernois. I literally could not find anything on this guy. He's 35 years old. He's like 46-1. But he's 46-1-1, so he's kind of got that sexy record against nobodies. And I'm literally looking up and down his record, and these are guys that aren't really good at all. They're literally stay busy fights. I mean, he fought 3 times in 2016, 3 times in 2017, 3 or 4 times, like 6 times in 2015. So he's staying busy, but it's just not great competition. And the one guy that he lost early in his career, but the one guy that he even drew against, which was recently, was Joan O'Carroll, who Tevin Farmer beat pretty handily. So I'm looking for Tevin Farmer to, again, put another great performance together. These are guys that don't have a lot of knockouts, but Tevin Farmer, not only is he fast out of that southpaw stance, but fast combinations, doesn't get hit cleanly, is always focused. And again, he's 29-4-1, but don't let that record fool you, because they were all early in his career. I mean, he lost his first fight, and then he lost 4 of his like first 12 fights or something like that. With one being Jose Pedraza, which isn't a bad thing. And then again, just guys he really didn't concentrate against. And then he went on an absolute tear where he's defended his belt, his IBF belt, and he's defended it pretty well against guys like John O'Carroll, Francisco Fonseca, James Tennessee, Billy Digg, Kenichi Ogawa, which was changed to a no contest. So he's looking for that big money fight. He wants that fight with Tank Davis. And I think Tank Davis might be looking at moving up to 135, but he wants that fight versus Tank. They've been yapping back and forth between each other. So he's here to make a point. And I think that point will be made. I don't think he'll knock him out, but I think he'll beat this dude into submission. The guy Nunez, I'm just looking for him to make a good showing. I think if he can make an exciting fight, maybe go back and forth with Tank Davis, you're going to see more of him on television against decent opponents. And then the main event for the zone is the most interesting fight of the night, because we have two guys who are undefeated. The former Olympian Jose Ramirez versus Maurice Hooker. Ramirez out of California and Hooker out of Dallas, Texas. So this is an interesting fight. Jose Ramirez, ever since he won the vacant WBC light welterweight title in a fight against Amir Imam, which was a great fight, and the fight that I used to kind of gauge this one. He's had 4 good wins in a row. Jose Cepeda, Antonio Orozco, Amir Imam, and Mike Reed. He knocked Mike Reed out in 2 rounds. He got a majority decision versus Jose Cepeda in a close fight. Amir Imam was an entertaining fight. And Mike Reed, like I said, he knocked him out. He is about 5'10". Maurice Hooker is about 5'11". Amir Imam is about 5'11". So the height thing isn't a problem. He's a guy who, in this fight, he wants the pace. This is going to be pace versus space. Ramirez wants to push the envelope with this guy. He did it very well against Amir Imam, where he inched forward. He's not very athletic, but he inches forward. He can use his jab, but he doesn't shoot it out there. He throws it one at a time. But what he really wants to do, he wants to get on the inside, and he wants to use his left and work the body. He throws everything off that left. He can off the jab, he goes to the body, uppercut, and wants to throw over the top of the right hand or get you to drop the right guard of Amir Imam, which he did, and to do the same with Maurice Hooker and land plenty of blows. He wants to push the pace. He wants to put Maurice Hooker against the rope. That's where he had the most success against Amir Imam, and I can see this fight going the same way. Also, he likes to dip down, and that's how he gets maximum leverage on using his left hand. He wants to boom, boom, or boom, boom. But he likes to dip down. He likes to get low, throw the up jab, body, hook over the top. And he's going to be throwing that for a lot of the fight, trying to take the Hooker's legs away, trying to get him to drop that right hand. And then he's going to fake and set him up with the left, but he wants to come over the top. So once he gets you to that point where you're constantly looking for him to dip, and go with the left, he can shoot the straight right, he can lead with the right, or he can throw it over the top if Hooker decides to throw a lazy jab. And Hooker does not have the greatest jab in the world. He will push it out. He doesn't really snap it. It's not very fast. And considering that he's not as fast or as powerful as Amir Imam, he's got to be slick. Because if not, Ramirez is going to be on him all night. Again, Ramirez wants him against the ropes. He wants him to move back. He does not want him to move lateral because he does not cut off the ring. And being coached by Freddie Roach does not do very well at cutting off the ring. But he's going to push the pace. With Hooker, being the taller guy, having a much longer reach, but being skinnier, he doesn't have the athleticism that Amir Imam has. He doesn't have that same power. But what he does do, he has good underrated skills. He can fight going backwards. He can, as Amir's moves forward, he can move with him and move back just to maintain his range in space. And he can put that jab out of there. But what I've noticed, and this is in a fight, in his toughest fight versus Terry Flanagan, which he won the WBO title, is that he can deal with guys that's going to push the pace, that's going to throw a lot of punches, that's going to provide pressure. And he throws a lot of sneaky punches, especially the right hand. Actually throws a left hook that is going to come out of line of sight and whip around. He has very long arms and he uses them like whips. What he wants to do is he wants to move lateral. He just can't continue to move back because that's just giving up ground, and that's what Ramirez wants. But because Ramirez likes to dip down, what he needs to do is either work the uppercut or check hook. Because from what I've seen with Ramirez, he drops his hands when he dips down because he's looking for the punch, but not really looking to defend himself. So if I'm Hooker, I want to keep my right guard up. And I know it probably looks tough on you looking at the video. He wants to keep that right guard up. As soon as he dips, he wants to throw a short, compact hook. I'm sorry, I had a brain. Again, I'm talking a lot. I'm really thinking. But he wants to throw a short, compact hook to kind of freeze Ramirez in place, then throw the right. Or another thing is, once he dips down, he can move to his left and throw the uppercut. When Ramirez decides to throw his right hand. Because Ramirez can be caught leaning too far over his front foot, which takes him off balance. And Hooker might be able to score a knockdown if he can catch Ramirez leaning forward too much. What he doesn't want to do is he doesn't want to get in too close. Now, Hooker can fight on the inside, but I think he would be at a disadvantage because of those long whip-like arms and hands. Because he's not going to have the space to really get full leverage on the punches versus Ramirez. Also, what I would like to see him do, throw the chopping right. Because Ramirez kind of puts that jab out there and he can lead with his right, you got to make a miss and throw to the side. Again, catching him while he's leaning too far over his front foot, over the top of his jab, or as a counter, he wants to catch him downward. And another thing that I didn't see Amir Imam do with Ramirez, and I don't think a lot of guys do, is work the body. What you want to do, if you can get him standing straight up and reaching or lunging, it'll make it easier to dodge his punches. Because in the middle rounds versus Imam, he was standing more straight up and lunging with his punches, and Amir Imam was able to again throw that chopping right hand over the top because it was winging it. What you don't want to let this dude do is get back into his rhythm, get bouncy, and start throwing a lot of punches, which he can do further into rounds. This one is a tough one to call. I think Hooker has underrated skills, but I'm not sure he has the power to really take out Ramirez. Even though he has 17 KOs, Ramirez is just a really tough guy. Also, Maurice Hooker has been in some extremely tough fights against competition, which I wouldn't say would be the best possible competition. I mean, he beat Cristobal Cruz, he beat Terry Flanagan, Alex Salcedo, but he drew with Darlis Perez, who is good, but I can't see him beating Jose Ramirez with that kind of performance. So he has to really look good in order to make this fight count. Right now, in my head, I'm taking Ramirez over 12. I don't see this fight ending in a knockout. I would be surprised if it ends in a knockout. I think there might be a knockdown, but I think Hooker's going to really be made to fight unless he fights smart. I'm taking Ramirez over 12 rounds. I just think that his ability to push the pace will take Hooker out. The only way that Hooker wins is not to get caught remaining in front of Ramirez. He can't let him push the plays. He can't let him dictate distance, and he can't let him push him up against the ropes. He's got to move laterally, and he's got to make Ramirez pay. Like I said, catching him over his front foot with the uppercut or a check left hook would do wonders for him, because it will stun him and he can set up his combinations. I know I talked a lot this 20-minute video. Tell me what you think. I know this is a lot of fights that I covered. I just didn't have much to say about them except for the main event in the zone, because I really wasn't sure about some of these guys that these guys are fighting. Like, again, Frenois, Nunez. I'm sorry, I keep saying Frenois. It's probably Frenois. Guillaume Frenois, if you've made it this far in the video. But yeah, if you got anything else for me, let me know. Hit us up in the comments, subscribe, like. Please share with your friends. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, but we want to be able to build our base to bring you more videos, and be respectful to us, be respectful to each other in the comments. And until next time, fight on.
This is round one, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is coming.